folks. Welcome to So Much to Talk About here. 2010 NBA Draft. It is my pleasure to have former number 2 pick overall in 2002. Right, am I right?
Yeah,
all right, Mr. Jason Williams, All-American point guard from Duke University. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Yes, indeed. So much to talk about with this draft. First thing, John Wall is about to be the 4th point guard since John Lucas to be drafted first overall. John Lucas, Magic Johnson, and then, of course, AI. Wow, the pressure. How much pressure do you think will be on his shoulders, especially with the Washington Wizards organization that is going through a major image upheaval, pretty much. So talk about that.
I think, well, first off, I'm very disappointed in myself in 2002 that God had to descend a 7'6" Chinese man upon me and Yao Ming, because that could have been the 5th point guard chosen the first pick. But, for John in particular, John has all the traits of being an elite guard. And I think the way that John Wall needs to approach his first year is just letting go, having fun. It's going to be a year of ups and downs. He's going to make some mistakes here and there, but also he's going to have flashes of brilliance. The one thing for John is that he's got to be a consistent outside shooter, because a lot of guys are going to start going underneath screen and rolls in order to make him really challenge that jump shot. But I think John has to continue to do things the way he's been doing it. He was a professional player at Kentucky, and the way he handled himself. He was exactly very mild-mannered, very coachable, and didn't have a lot of maintenance. And for a guy like Flip, that's the kind of player you want to have. He's competitive, he wants to win, he's low maintenance, and he holds himself as a professional. So I think all those things off the court to take care of themselves. On the court, he just needs to continue to remain aggressive and play and have fun. And remember that, yes, this is business now, but the more he can bring out the fun out of the game, the better off he'll play.
And I wanted to ask you about other point guards that you have your eye on from looking at film and, of course, covering college basketball this season. Talk about which other point guards can really make an impact.
Well, I think a kid that can make an impact and you wonder where he'll get drafted, maybe second round, is Gravis Vasquez. From Maryland. He has been a kid who's been talked about a lot. He's around 6'5", 6'6", and he doesn't have that blazing quickness like a prototypical point guard, but he has that height. And he has that length where he can defend and he can see over the top of a zone or a defender. Also, maybe even a point forward, and he's going number 2, is Evan Turner. I love his game for the fact that Evan plays within himself consistently. He doesn't try to, you have a lot of guys, once they get to the NBA, everybody tells them what they can't do. So they spend a lot of their time trying to prove to GMs and scouts, what they can't do. They want to prove that they can do that. People don't understand. Listen, you got drafted, and you're going to get drafted based upon what you do well. Jalen Rose and I always joked about my rookie year. Do what you do for television. If you're a good rebounder and a hustler player, do that. That'll get you 40 to 50 million. Don't try to get out there and be a jump shooter when you're not a jump shooter. So for guys, unless you, well, even for that, I think if you come in and you rebound and you hustle and you earn that playing time, then that'll allow you to put your foot in the door and then work on your game throughout the offseason and then bring that back to the table the next year. So a guy like Evan Turner, he has a mid-range jump shot. He can shoot, he can pass exceptionally well off the dribble, and he's long, he's athletic, and he has that high basketball IQ. So those 2 guys in particular, I think as point guards, get a chance to cause a lot of trouble.
What advice do you have for these young men? This day will change their lives forever. So what advice do you have for them on how to really stay grounded and how to really be able to stay focused through all the distractions and all the hanger-ons that will definitely emerge?
Well, I think, one, you have to remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. A lot of kids try to come out of the gate and they try to go so hard because they're used to a college season and being only 41, 42 games. Well, if you're used to going hard until 41, 42, you're only halfway there. And that's not even considering if your team makes the playoffs. I think the second thing is you have to keep your mind focused off the court. On the court to take care of itself. A lot of these guys are talented. They have the basketball IQ. They have the understanding of how to be a really good player. Granted, there are going to be things they're going to have to learn on the court, the little tricks of the trade. But off the court is the biggest issue. Are you going to be able to take care of your money? Are you going to be able to call a night early to understand that you have practice in the morning? Will you be at practice early? Will you work practice hard? Will you stay after practice and be late? Will you set the bar high for your teammates, not to give any excuses? Because, listen, if you're going to be drafted in the top 10, top 15, as much as people would love to praise you, if things go wrong, people will take some knocks at you too. How will you handle that adversity? How will you handle the news, the media? There's a lot of different things that come to play for a lot of these players, and the biggest challenges they have are off the court, not necessarily on the court.
One more question for you. 2000, looking ahead to 2011, since you heavily follow college basketball, name 3 players that the audience may not know that will be definitely lottery picks next year, and they have their names called.
Well, I think a lot of players, it's hard to say because you don't really know who's going to come out, who's not going to come out. I mean, even my sophomore year, I had a chance to be the first pick in the draft, and I chose to stay for my junior year. So I don't want to
help that 0-1 draft.
And here's an unwritten rule that I have. I would love to sit here and tell you a couple names of some guys who are coming back next year who I'm sure are going to be first team All-American, but I'm going to do them the favor by not jinxing them and say these guys are going to be top 10 draft picks next year. Somebody gets hurt. So I don't want to jinx anybody, but there are a lot of kids out there. There's a couple of freshmen who are coming to the realm next year who are very, very talented. And have a chance to cause a lot of havoc in college basketball and also cause a lot of havoc in the next draft. So, we'll keep their fingers crossed that they can all remain healthy, and next year's next year. We'll see what happens.
I almost forgot to ask you about the Duke Blue Devils national champions 2010. I mean, forgot to ask you about that. Gordon Hayward, who's going to have his name called, almost hit probably. It would have been the most miraculous shot ever. So, did you talk with him about that and how he could have really gave all of you guys a heart attack, all the alumni and the players?
Well, for me, I have to remain unbiased because I'm an analyst. Unbiased, remember that, unbiased. But I got a chance to spend a lot of time with Brad Stevens, the head coach of Butler, out in San Antonio for USA Basketball, and he says he's never had a team that's been more together than that team. I mean, Matt Howard, Shelvin Mack, Gordon Hayward, all those guys, they were a unit. And I think it was the year where you saw the epitome of a team effort to win a championship. And a lot of Duke alumni didn't like me for a while because I didn't think Duke was going to be able to get past Baylor. I mean, when you look at Baylor and their talent, Baylor is going to have a guy that's probably going to get drafted the highest out of any other Baylor player since Vinnie Johnson out of Baylor, who got drafted 7th. So, I mean, with Lacedarius Dunn, and Tweety Carter, and then Ekpe, they had so much talent. I didn't think Duke was going to be able to get past them, but the team won. And it was good to see a team actually win a championship. And I give it to Coach K. That was his best year of coaching I've seen out of all of them. I mean, 2001, he had 5 guys who got drafted and played professional basketball. And then, in years prior to, he had the same. So not having one guy, maybe with the exception of John Shire or maybe Brian Zubak, who may get drafted in the second round, he did an exceptional job with that team.
Jason, thank you for your time. I know you got to get going, but thank you so much for being on. So much to talk about.
Hope
to feature you full
we'll
episode.
do it again, definitely. Thank you. All right.